with me, analysts. Thank you very much for coming. Ikemesit Effiong, good morning.
Good morning, Ayo.
Good morning, Nnamdi Awa-Kalu.
Hi, always a pleasure.
And good morning, Deveo Okorie.
Good morning, Lagos. A cool 9 days to the D-Day.
Thank you very much indeed. All right, Lagos, if you'd like to join the conversation this morning, you can do that by sending your messages to WhatsApp 0809 444 That's 0809 444 No calls, just messages. On Twitter, you can find us at Smooth981 and hashtag is freshly pressed 981. We have a number of stories to go. Like they've all mentioned, a cool 9 days to election, and as you would imagine, news this morning is dominated by election stories. So we'll start off very quickly. And Ikemesit, we'll start off with you. Well, this is not an election story, but this is definitely breaking news. ASU suspends strike. 3-month-old strike ASU has suspended after a meeting yesterday, where the agreement was reached with a conciliatory meeting held at the instance of the Minister of Labour and Employment, Senator Chris Ngige, and his education counterpart, Malam Adamu.
Well, you could argue that there is an election component to this. When you think about the fact that the NLC won a major political victory by getting the National Assembly to pass a minimum wage increase less than a month to the elections, one could say that the government has got a bit of a win here, because the opposition has used the fact that most of our universities have essentially been shuttered for the last 3 months in the lead up to the elections as a political tool. But going down to the nuts and bolts of the story, the federal government and ASU essentially said that they've resolved the 8 remaining contentious issues that served to prolong the strike, including such things as the registration of a particular organization, which, fun fact, I tried googling up the meaning of the acronym and I couldn't find it. Shout out to our journalists for keeping that information away from us. And there are also such things as a visitation panel which will go around all the universities and itemize what needs to be done. The federal government has said they've released 20 billion naira as earned allowances to all categories of staff, but ASU members would have a larger chunk of the money. There is an interesting footnote though to this. So Chris Ngige said that a further 25 billion naira will be released as a quote revitalization fund between April and May 2019, with the full resumption of the implementation of the MOU that was signed between the federal government and ASU, which was the essential bedrock of the dispute, right? If you segue back to November, ASU has essentially said this deal that we've signed since 2009 hasn't been implemented by the federal government, and that was what precipitated this latest round of school shutdowns. The interesting bit for me is Ngige's comment seems to be operating from the assumption that this administration will have been the administration that Nigerians would have selected for them to carry on for the next 4 years. Massive assumption, considering how the entire electoral political season has been. But then, when you think back to the arguments that we had in constitutional law class and in government classes about government being a continuum and all of that, this might be something that either the APC administration would have to fulfill as part of these promises, or another political party, if they are in power, would probably have to carry on as an earned commitment on the part of the federal government. And so the strike has been suspended.
It hasn't suspended, and actually they've said that with immediate effect, lecturers should go back to the lecture.
But typically these things take about a week or thereabouts, before
possibly
students are able to
after the elections. You think
that would be the commonsensical approach, right, to things? But for the optics and for the cameras and for the journalists, it's always fine to say things are back in order with immediate effect. We like that concept.
We love it.
With immediate effect.
I know NOMPENCO is actually the pensions commissioner. They had one of the agreements that they wanted to reach, and a few days back we actually reported that the federal government had agreed to this, which was number one out of the a long list of what they'd asked for. So today, obviously, they've signed, and hopefully everyone is happy. Well, the issue of implementation, so if I go on to the next story, we had that problem before. What's the guarantee that having signed this, having a disagreement, people going back to work, it would be finally implemented?
The short answer to your question is there is absolutely no guarantee. The fact is the federal government has not exactly shown itself to be a worthy partner in terms of the implementation of its agreements with ASU, and so the taste of the pudding is in the eating.
Indeed. So we're working by faith.
And of course, there's a billion-dollar question. What happens if the government changes hands?
Yes.
Faith, I'm not sure if faith is the right
answer. All right, let's move on to our next story. Our eyes are still on this one. Like we mentioned, it's not just about signing the agreement, it's also, more importantly, the implementation of the terms of the agreement. Deveo, this one is for you. I'd like to get your opinion on this, and I'm sure, of course, Nnamdi and Ikemesit can weigh in as well. INEC to extend PVC collection deadline in selected states. Now, yesterday during Lagos Talks 981, we had an extended discussion on the difficulties with people, electorates collecting their PVCs, the challenges, the fact that some people had gone there and they said it wasn't ready, the sheer inefficiency of the entire process. What's your take on this?
Well, the truth is, you just said it all, and that's what I fear is going to be the experience during these elections. You mentioned something about hope earlier, right? Faith, hope. You see, all these statements that have nothing to do with action is the bane of African development. We just seem to think that we can imagine it and it will come to pass, whereas we have realities to deal with. Let's go back a bit. Remember, INEC was given their money quite late, so in terms of preparation and actual implementation of what they need to do, the groundwork to get ready, it was coming at a late time. Now, this article just kind of sums up some preliminary levels of preparation. Now, in terms of PVC collection, it was inefficient from day one. The approach, the methods that they took about it, and now, quite frankly, I would actually fault INEC in the sense that they have enough money to actually bring in the best of consulting regarding how PVC collection can be done.
So what could possibly be the problem? Now, let's play devil's advocate.
Well, we don't have time to dissect it completely, but you have issues of which Daniel Chairman stated that those who had damaged PVC, those who were replacing them, those who had relocated and they couldn't find it even though they had applied on time. Even at the collection centers, for those that went, I'm sure you saw the long queues. In some instances, the officers were lost.
Personnel.
It's a process that they could have outsourced. It's still the same database collection that we've been doing in practically all the ministries. It's a simple process, but if you're not willing to ask for help, then at the end of the day, we're left to this inefficient process. And what you will see is that many still will be left enfranchised. He also spoke about the security preparation, which is where the IG came in and spoke as to how the 6 DIGs would be split into geopolitical zones and how 24 AIGs will support them, and then about 36,000 tactical policemen, that includes the mobile police protection staff, etc. and co. Now, there are flashpoints, and it's unfortunate that it's not INEC's duty to secure the nation, but what we expect is that the police should, as much as possible, they've been spread thin already. They've told the INEC officials to identify flashpoints within the country so that the security forces can address them up front and close before this date.
Aren't you a little concerned? INEC actually did not explicitly state out the states where PVC.
Yes, they didn't. The story is incomplete.
Yes, so for me, the announcement is a bit premature. The story isn't really
the announcement
incomplete.
Actually
the
says,
announcement is INEC would meet with the recs of all the 36 states and then determine based on collection rates which states should be eligible for a deadline. I think that should have happened before the announcement was made,
and it looks
because this could be politicized.
It looks like it's going to run up until that.
Well, we will know at the end of today, hopefully, as to which state. I want to assume that Lagos will probably be one of them, because it's
they said
that we
states
have the highest,
that have low
collection of PVC.
It's stunning how officialdom will trump up your assumptions.
Okay, let's watch. We're watching and we're saying, and hopefully we'll get some good news in that regard. But just to let you know, it's actually 8-day selection, Deveo, because today is the 8th and it's on the 16th, next week Saturday. Presidential and National Assembly Assembly elections, a number of people haven't collected their PVCs yet and are at the risk of being disenfranchised. All right, moving away from that story to our third story for this morning, and that is campaign. Lagos to restrict movement on 18 roads for Buhari. Some of them, the roads will be closed. I'm sure everyone here must have received a WhatsApp message telling them which roads have been closed, and so don't be closed. Oh, you didn't?
You didn't.
Okay, you're probably.
I feel disenfranchised.
Where do you live?
Are you on WhatsApp? All right. Okay. So this is Ikemesit. What do you have to say about this one? 18 major roads.
See, for me, the big bit about the story is the announcement by the Federal Road Safety Corps Sector Commander for the state, Aichi News from Nigeria, said that truck drivers will be restricted from entering the metropolis from today in preparation for the presidential rally on Saturday. It was a bit cathartic for me heading back home from Ikoyi yesterday, and there were no trucks available. How many times have we talked on Freshly Pressed about the issue of the trucks being parked on Echo Bridge, the safety concerns that involved, the contribution to the already terrible gridlock that we experience here in Lagos, and the state government has come to say we can't really deal with this problem, but we're doing our best. But the president is in town, and suddenly the trucks. It just goes to show you that
they disappeared.
These challenges have obvious solutions.
They're man-made.
The political will to actually implement them. And it's like I was talking to someone downstairs who actually said, "Oh, there are definitely people who are deriving political and economic capital from this." I mean, it's pretty obvious.
No, but I want to ask. I haven't seen it myself. They disappeared.
They literally disappeared.
Okay, let's say this.
Literally,
if those trucks
magically
show up after the president goes, we will fight in this Lagos.
You know what?
We're not fighting in Lagos. We are going to.
No,
we can challenge it, but
We've
no
been
fighting.
how many of us in Lagos and it disappears because of one man?
But Devo's larger point is really important.
Yes,
I think this would reignite the debate around the
so
idea of
possible.
why they are there, if it is possible to get rid of them. So
I just have one question really. I'm wondering if perhaps Moyele Sowore was to come to campaign in Lagos if 18 major roads would be closed for him. That's really my
let's answer your question. All of the other third-party candidates are essentially, maybe with the exception of although she's not out of the race, they're all domiciled here in Lagos. The trucks were with us. That's the answer to your question.
All right, and also, I mean, it's great to ask that question because if you look at the APC rally 4 years ago when they were only at Teslim Balogun, there was just like 1 or 2 roads that were closed.
Yeah.
The PDP rally also had 4 years ago. Obviously, they were the party in power. They also had a few roads, but not as major as this, where we have 18 roads being closed.
I feel for myself. I live in Surulere, so
I'm
stuck.
Our sincere apologies to you.
I am.
Let's take a few comments on WhatsApp. If you'd like to send a WhatsApp message, 0809 444 0981. Now this one, unfortunately, we don't have a name here. If we don't have a name, we can't really read your messages. Thank you very much. Now this is from Jumoke. Jumoke says, this is really not acceptable. Trucks can leave for the president, but we can spend hours in traffic because of the trucks. Also, Chima Obi from Olodia Papa says, good morning, house. It is unfortunate that INEC staff in local government areas in my area demand cash before you get your PVC. I'm so ashamed of this, and we believe they will deliver. We hear so many stories like this that are so disheartening and quite unfortunate. But like we mentioned, we keep speaking. Hopefully the authorities will hear and things will be done properly. Nnamdi, this one is an update from a story we took a few days back. Court orders arrest of Nigeria's former spy chief, Ayo Okorie, and wife. Dasuki Gate still in focus.
Alright, so this story is it's a long story, but I think longer than it needs to be. It's pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
What they're saying right here is this former Director General of the National Intelligence Agency, which is the counterintelligence and foreign intelligence gathering agency in Nigeria, has been charged with a number of different allegations: money laundering, fraud, concealment of crime proceeds, criminal breach of trust. The numbers that they're banding around are eye-popping, to say the least, concealing the sum of $43.5 million, using $1.7 million to acquire property in Ikoyi. Of course, they eventually were alleged to have concealed that property in that same flat that was illegally obtained. I think the bottom line for me, having read this story before going into some of the details, is that there is a little bit of a problem with our security agencies.
A little?
I'm being euphemistic, or maybe just a little bit. I'm trying to be careful.
Yes, very
but the truth is that if you have currently Sambo Dasuki's trial is still ongoing, and he's a former national security advisor, and now you have a former head of the NIA.
Yeah.
There seems to be a problem at the very top of military brass, of security in Nigeria, of the police force, and there are questions to be asked. But the point of this story really was that the deciding judge, Honorable Justice Chukwujeku Aneke, agreed with his brother judge, Justice Dimba, also sitting in the Federal High Court, in saying that you can only declare a person wanted by the order of court. So he decided to issue a bench warrant for the procurement of both, his name is Ayo Mairo-Ese and his wife, Olashade. He issued this bench warrant and said that should they fail to appear, because they have failed to appear, and that's why he issued a bench warrant. Bench warrant is simply a judge ordering that you go arrest the persons who have failed to appear in court on a criminal charge. So he said should they fail to appear, at that point then he can declare them wanted.
So it's not a rule that they're going to be arrested, it's only if they don't appear in court?
Now he has issued a warrant for their arrest. Now they have to be arrested because they have failed to appear.
Okay, all right, thank you very much. And we'll move away from that story. We have a number of comments coming in on WhatsApp based on the truck situation as well as PVC collection. Some people telling the experiences of collecting their PVCs. This one is from Awele. She says with regards to the PVC registration and collection process, that we as the people should begin to ask INEC after the elections to begin to explore a partnership with the private sector to handle the process, like you mentioned, Deveo. This thing is not that complicated. Look at the process with ATM card requisition and collection. We need to admit that the public sector cannot handle such processes and hand them over partly at least. Ayo Mairo-Ese says, my heart goes to everyone staying at Surulere, sadly including myself, especially the traders. People that make money on a daily basis will be disturbed by this. Keeping in mind that just last week, the roads were closed for some marathon. That's a good point. That means as a trader, I won't eat because of a marathon, I won't eat because of some rally. It's just sad. All right, moving away from that story, we'll go to this one from Premium Times. The State Security Service yesterday arraigned 2 staff of INEC and the names Monday Ifie Simama and Biso Sole before a chief magistrate court for alleged thefts of PVCs. Deveo, what's your? We've seen a number of arraignments in recent times.
Well, here the SSS is simply the story is on 2 counts. First count, the theft ring, whereby Mr. Golo purchased PVCs from 2 other INEC officials for 300,000 and about 120,000. They've been put to book for about 100,000 bail. Second case was where someone was more or less acted as an imposter, as a fake INEC official, and was trying to sell employment at 3,800. Well, so they're just stories that the security forces are working to ensure that we have a very transparent. The process has a lot of integrity. However, I would love to see the SSS present in the real electioneering, where it refers to voter buying. This is where we need them to act and not to close a blind eye, where it refers to underage voting. You see, this is what we expect the SSS, the Secret Service, because they will not be uniform that day, they will be in mufti. This is where we expect them to actually do their hardcore investigations and fish out those who are responsible for ballot snatching, for ballot stuffing. We know this is part of the rigging machine in this country, and it will take place in various locations, not only in the populous capital cities, but as well as the rural areas where not too many eyes, BlackBerry phones, or even smartphones are there to capture. So we're hoping that the SSS is really prepared to deliver top-notch service that come this 7 days or is it 8 days?
Not to make too much of a small thing, but I just wanted to correct the impression created by this headline that the SSS arraigned arraignment is something that happens in court when your charges are read to you and you plead guilty or not guilty. So it's not something within the purview of the SSS.
No, but they were in court.
No, I know.
Yeah,
I'm just talking about
the
who does the
who does the
The
arraignment.
headline is a
Okay.
bit misleading. Thank you very much for that, Nnamdi. Now, just to refresh our memories for those who might be planning, for next week, Saturday, these are some of the offences that you could be arraigned for. Casting a vote twice, and that's quite obvious. Stopping any other person from voting, being in possession of another person's voter card, canvassing for votes at polling units, shouting slogan of a political party at polling units, amongst other things. You can go to the INEC website for more information on this. Now, on to our next story. Interesting one right here. Ikemesit Effiong publishes campaign finances. This is from the Guardian. Is this a precedent that others should follow suit?
Ideally, yes. So essentially, what Effiong did, by the way, if you need any recollection, was the former presidential candidate of the ACPN, was that she stated that she had spent about 48 million naira in a space of 5 months for her campaign. Well, technically, she did not spend the entire money because there's still some money in the bank account, according to the story, which I would encourage everyone to go check out on The Guardian. And she seemed fairly detailed about it. So about 12 million on travels, 10.6 million on media and publicity, which includes such things as interviews and other media opportunities, another 15.3 million on what she called campaign mobilization fees, meetings and logistics costs. The Guardian interestingly puts all of that in parentheses. Printing of campaign and poster materials and such other things also made the breakdown. Worth noting, though, that the national chairman of the party, Alhaji Gani Galadima,
he's back.
Yes, he's back. And one of the first things that he did was to endorse the president, which was not lost on a lot of Nigerians on social media. Alleged that Effiong mismanaged campaign funds and said that the breakdown that she offered was not exhaustive enough. The interesting bit that he said was that he asked her to emulate other candidates as regards transparency in campaign funds, to which I would say, what other presidential candidates? I don't know of anyone who has come out with any sort of breakdown and understanding as to how they have been spending the monies or where they have been getting the monies from. So, precedent, yes. Will it be followed? Unlikely.
No, but let's not forget that Effiong right now is under pressure. She has been accused of diverting those funds.
So she had a motivation to do it. It's not like it was completely outrageous.
No, but Nnamdi, she's not the first person to have been accused of such things, and they haven't.
She's probably the first to have been accused in these circumstances when she's pulled out of the presidential race.
All right, now it's also important to, when you talk about coalitions, and the SDP as well, just as a web information, has joined parties with the APC, and that was from Donald Duke. Endorsed, yes.
But Donald Duke insists that he's still on the ballot, so it's a pretty dramatic situation going on.
We expect even more drama as the days, unfold. All right, now moving away from that story, we come to the next one here. Very, I'll tie these two stories together actually, because they talk about recovery of loot. One with FIRS and the other with the EFCC. This day says FIRS recovers 23 billion naira from 45,000 millionaire tax defaulters, while the Punch reports that whistleblowing policy will recovered 527 billion naira, $53 million, and 122,880 pounds. Two stories, different agencies were still talking about recovery. Well, one recovery of loot, the other talking about tax defaulters. Deveo, Nnamdi, who wants to take a stab at it first?
You can take the lead in this dance, please.
Well, I hope you can dance properly. But you see, I think once again we have to give thumbs up to the leadership at the FIRS. Mr. Tunde Fowler, he's carried over the excellence that was displayed in Lagos that grew the IGR from practically nothing, that's from less than 50 billion to almost getting towards about 400 or 500 billion for Lagos State, 2 at the federal level, which has seen its highest tax collection year in 2008 to about 5.3 trillion. Now remember, the tax net is supposed to be the essential revenue generation point, and in this instance where the oil price has not been stable, the it's good news that we're hearing that the tax net has helped to bridge that gap. Now, what the strategy that they employed was to chase a lot of billionaire tax defaulters, those who had in excess of about 100 million in turnover in their accounts and had not paid tax efficiently or adequately. Now, they worked with the police, as he said, which I think added some level of force to it, and they were able to generate about 23 billion on a tax net of over 45,000 tax defaulters. They said they're looking at another 40,000 defaulters, and let's see where they go with that. Now, all I'd just like to add is that I hope it does get to a time where our tax paying becomes a culture, where it's about civic duty and not about force and enforcement, because the government cannot always arm twist with the police to get people to pay. And on the flip side, we do know why most people escape, or why there's a lot of tax evasion. Apart from the bad intent, in most cases people don't believe that their taxes are being used adequately for their own benefit. So it's a two-sided coin, and thumbs up. So,
all right, thumbs up to the FIRS boss. But very, points well noted, Deveo, with regards to what are the taxes being used for. A number of people have said that they are their own governments, provide our own water, our own light, our own roads, we fix our own roads. So what is the tax being used for at the end of the day? All right, Nnamdi, very quickly touching on the whistleblowing policy update from that by the EFCC boss.
I mean, it's a brilliant way to segue, to borrow Ikemesit word from earlier, into the next story, because I want to ask, the headline is we've recovered 527 billion naira, $53 million, 122,880 pounds, and that's Ibrahim Magu making that statement at the town hall meeting in Port Harcourt. The question is, what have you used, or where have these
the money
funds gone to? The story is, is one of the usual, a lot of nicely dressed up words. Patriotic Nigerians have been reporting criminal acts, supposedly. Members of the public are the ones who have let the government know about the mismanagement or misappropriation of public funds and assets like properties and vehicles, financial malpractice or fraud, collecting or soliciting bribes, corruption, diversion of revenues, unapproved payments, splitting of contracts, procurement funds, procurement fraud, kickbacks, and over-invoicing. It's a lot of different words, but the bottom line I'm asking is exactly where does this money go, and who are these whistleblowers? I know it's part of the policy, we're not supposed to know, but
the identities.
But I'm really curious
Mr.
as to
Jack.
who get this label.
Mr.
Jack
Jack?
Olumude Thompson, he's one.
Alright,
But
okay.
I'd just like to quickly add that, unlike the FIRS, which goes straight to the consolidated accounts, the EFCC money is somewhere where we don't know because it's yet to be appropriated. So they can't keep making these claims if the appropriation has not gone forward.
All right. Thank you very much, Deveo. Thank you very much. Nnamdi, Ikemesit. Before we go, I had to read one more message from WhatsApp. This one is from Arinze Festac. He says it's quite unfair that the populace have to be restrained for the presidential campaign. Ikemesit, do you want to say something? Are you raising your hand?
Completely agree with you, Arinze.
Okay. Okay, all right, Kudos, final one. I know Lakumi is looking at me and giving me the eye, but Kudos from Surulere says Mrs. Obi's misadventure into the murky waters of Nigerian politics is her greatest undoing. She was never a politician, and even her activism was without finesse. Even her former party is threatening to sue her. All right, now.
How many Nigerian men have muscle?
Finesse in activism. Okay.
You
hear things
on one point, they'll say that you are too fine, you're too sophisticated, and they say you're too much of an average.
Nigerians don't know what they want.
What do we want? All right, thank you so much. You can follow our analysts if you want to engage them directly. If they said anything you didn't like and you want to just, attack them, or you want to say them some love. Ikemesit is at George Ike, Nnamdi is at Nnamdi AK, and Deveo is at Deveo Okorie. Thank you so much, guys.
DSS protection.
Thank you so much, Lagos, for being part of this. Unfortunately, we couldn't take all the messages, but stay tuned again. On Monday, we'll be back for another edition of Freshly Pressed 981. But right now, we're about to go into the world of sports, not murky waters, the beautiful world of sports with Tega Supreme. This is still Smooth 98.1, and we will be right back.
Mazino, please, my lawyers, I need protection. She just showed us out.
Internet trolls your way.